All right, we're recording now, Nick.
Sweet.
How do you guys usually start your podcast?
I always start it with welcome back to the Real Triathlon Podcast. That's about it. And we have like a song that we have custom made.
Loved and used by over 3,500 athletes around the world, Fast TT is clearly the bar of choice for speed and comfort. Available in 4 sizes to optimize both comfort and aerodynamics, the unique design of the 2.0 Tri-Aero Bar mounting system boasts lots of adjustability to suit your bike fit. Head over to the Fast TT bike website for all the information about bike and handlebar compatibility. And while you're there, check out their full range of adapters and mounting plates for all the popular and not so common bikes. Not forgetting their full range of BTA systems and accessories. Not sure of what you need for your Fast TT upgrade? Simply contact their support team and real humans are there to guide you through the recommended Fast TT equipment for your bike and fit. Watts per dollar, it's hard to look past the savings that changing your cockpit will produce. And as we've found in our bar counts during recent Ironman races, their 2.0 Tri-Aero Bar clearly leads the pro field and is steadily populating the age group category too. Head over to fasttt.bike for your upgrade now.
Well, welcome to the Slow Twitch Podcast. I am your host this week, Eric Wynn, and we are very lucky to have Mr. Do you go by Nick or Nicholas?
It doesn't matter to me. Nicholas.
I mean, but what do you prefer? You got to prefer something.
I actually have zero preference. I've been called everything.
I
was in the Air Force.
Zero fucks when it comes to your name.
Well, I have the luxury of having a lot of big names. My first name is Nick or Nicholas. Alexander is my middle. So, Xander, why not? Let's go there. And then Chase, which is also a Utah first name. So that's me.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. Okay. All right. I like it. Nick, you and I have been friends for, 4 or 5 years at least.
I think it's been longer than that, dude.
Has it been?
Yeah. Maybe like 6.
6. Okay. All right. 6, 7. Let's go 6, 7.
Yeah. I'm good with an even 10.
6. Okay. All right. So we've been friends for a while. You are based out of St. George, Utah these days.
Sorry.
You are the founder of the Real Triathlon Squad, RTS.
Yes, sir.
Did you find it? Are you a co-founder or are you like the founder?
I mean,
where does Jackson fit into that? Where does Mr. Laundry? Does he do the laundry or is he just a basket of stuff that needs to get done?
He just is the laundry that always is there, that never gets taken care of. But we love him anyways. We started this. It was more of a, hey, there's an idea. And then we all maybe shared in the idea in the collaborative. But I effectively had to do all of the work, not like they didn't put the reputation and their name behind stuff and try to help me. But I did bring all the brands and the money and everything we have in front of us now. But they were there.
Do a lot.
So.
Yeah,
they were there, so I'll give them some credit.
Okay, I like that. That works. And then what about you? Also do coaching.
I've been doing that business for a while.
And then you run your own podcast, the Real Triathlon Podcast, Real Triathlon Podcast. Yes, that is correct. And then you're also a professional triathlete.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
How do you?
And I have some other jobs, but we don't even have to bring those up.
What are the other jobs that you have?
I am the official title is brand curator at blueseventy, and I do all the social media and pro liaison work with BiSaddle also. So doing some stuff there.
So you wear a lot of hats in the industry.
Yeah, so to speak.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that in a little bit. The very first thing that I want to talk to you about is that you were just at Challenge Roth.
I was.
Okay. So it was a big year at Roth. Sam Laidlow broke another record. You've got Bloomingfield that came in second. You were there. You were racing with those guys. You probably talked to them beforehand. The women's race was pretty unreal. Talk to us a little bit about the scene in Roth in general. So, I mean, you're an American, you've gone over there. What's it like to actually be in that little tiny town of Roth, whatever you want to call it? Because, I mean, we've talked about it, I've talked about it, but we haven't had a lot of professional athletes that I would say that you're pretty good at understanding both sides of things from a professional athlete, age group athlete, and then you've got a lot of common sense too as well. So talk to us about that aspect of it all.
Challenge Roth for your first time going over there. And those of you who maybe have heard of it and just think it sounds like a fun place to be, it's like, it's basically like the Woodstock or like maybe the Burning Man of triathlon. Like you're kind of in this middle of nowhere village. You're surrounded by small towns that have a few thousand people in them. And all of a sudden, thousands, hundreds of thousands, whatever the number is, it's huge. It's like a festival, converges on the town of Roth. And then the surrounding towns also that you run through on the bike course and then on the actual run course. So it is all encompassing. It takes over the whole area. And the best part is, and why it's iconic, is because the entire community embraces it. They shut down, they have fun. It's like a holiday. One town in particular called Hilperstein, you can't even drive in or out of it because every road is a part of the bike course, which is shut down. They shut down the roads completely to traffic. So safety is pretty paramount on the bike course. So I'd say if you've heard about Roth, you've probably heard just how big, epic, awesome, fast. But overall, I will say it's just nothing special about the terrain. It's a hilly course. It's pretty. You're in farmland. It's not like it's mountainous and you're in the Alps. You're not by this beautiful sea. You swim in a canal. So it's more or less the culture and the people that make the event super, super and special. It's not the terrain or the views.
I mean, the views are still cool. Like,
yeah,
you're going through some pretty. You're right, though. It's not the Alps, but it is. They're like you're going through like these really cool, like villages and like valleys of villages of like where So I know that they closed the course. But I've also seen cars get on the course, with like their little European cars that are
quickly and aggressively got off course.
So did you see any of that this year? Where
I saw one time. So there was one time where it was on the first lap. So pros only are out there. There's no age group traffic. And it's kind of funny. The first few this is my third year doing it, and I come out of the water usually 3 to 5 minutes back from the main pack. And by the time I get to the back part of the bike course, like the race organizer and owner, Felix, he is on the back of a moto going, like, I think he does this, and this is just me guessing. I mean, I've never asked him, but I think he stops at every aid station along the route on the first lap and thanks every volunteer personally, because I've seen him fly by me like a few times on that first lap. And so that's the only time I saw a car this time was like, and Felix and those guys went up to him real quick, got him off the course. So I would say it's patrolled heavily to make sure there's not really any infringements by traffic.
Yeah. Which is probably pretty important considering they're small roads.
Yeah, they are pretty tiny.
They're tiny little European roads. And so let's talk about, because it's a tulip course, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the second lap of the bike course. So obviously you're a professional, you're going a lot faster than the age groupers. You hit, because there's 4,000 people that do the event?
Yeah, with relays, it's probably a little more.
Okay, so you're on the second lap, right? You're going through, what's it like going through those tiny little European roads on the second lap?
It is sometimes quite sketchy.
Is it sketch as fuck?
No, it's not sketch as fuck. It's just like you have to be a good bike handler and you have to be kind of predictive in the nature of cyclists and to understand like groups and how they think. And normally you don't even say anything because you don't want them to look back and swerve or something like that. And sometimes
you don't want to scare them.
Yeah. And sometimes we are moving like at least 5 to 8 miles an hour faster than them, even on some, rolling climbs. So we're moving pretty quick. And I think the dodgiest parts for me are on some of the fast corners, because I think most athletes there, European cyclists in general, their bike handling might be, from what I've seen, it seems to be a bit better than in the USA, because they are just part of that terrain. Like, you're a product of your environment. So they descend a lot better, and you could trust them a little more. But I'd say it was incredibly windy this year. A lot of wind, like side crosswind for a lot of the course. I think they had a lot of medical emergencies, 4 helicopter rescues, because and I saw probably like 5 or 6 ambulances on the side of the road with people on stretchers. I think the crosswinds caught a lot of people out, and it caused a lot of damage. So it was a bit scary out there if you're a cyclist, especially if you're a pretty novice.
Okay. Talk to us about the great, impactful, camera-ready solar hill. Like, what's that like on lap 1 and lap 2?
I think solar hill for pro athletes is probably like the biggest gift that the sport can give. We get it within the first, 30 minutes that people are starting to go through it, when the crowd is at its depth, when the people are most excited. And I got to say, like, at the top of the climb, like, I always get a little emotional the first time. I can't believe the energy. It is palpable. It gives me goosebumps. And I just ride up it with such vigor and stamina. And I'm very proud to be on the bike course. I'm proud to be able to ride up that in front of that crowd. And that changes a lot the second lap, because the second lap, you can tell, like, the gap is a bit wider. You're not quite parting the sea of people. There's age groupers that can hold you up. And it's very well known that second climb, you're going to have to either go slow or get stuck behind people, and you just can't really do much about it. So that's a very common thing about the first lap and the second lap.
So this year, there was definitely some top pro athletes that weren't really willing to wait for age groupers.
Yeah.
Do you think something needs to change with that? Because, Roth's they're all about safety, right? Like, they won't allow they won't allow media on the course with motos.
American media.
Although maybe next year I just need to tell Felix and that crew that I'll go tell all the volunteers thank you, and then we can get access to the court. Maybe that's what we need to do. There's got to be a way. But so it's all about safety. But then at the same time, like, you got pro athletes that are getting pushed and pushing, bystanders and age group athletes going up that hill. So, like, is that just kind of how it is? Like, because sometimes that's just how it is, but sometimes it's like, we probably should put some barricades up there. Like, what's your opinion? Do they need barricades, or
they asked,
or does that kill the vibe?
They did ask for feedback through an email already, and I wrote them probably 8 or 9 bullet points this morning of things that I think you should improve. And that was one of my points, because I didn't see this till after the race. I wasn't obviously riding with Sam or the front group, but I did see Sam Laidlow climbing a little bit more aggressively than I've seen any pro athlete in the past. And maybe it's happened in the past, I don't know. But I just know that I saw a YouTube video of Sam kind of like ping-ponging up the hill, or like bouncing off.
Most of triathlon's seen that video now.
Yeah, bouncing off of people, going around age groupers, causing age groupers to almost crash. It looked like he collided with a young person. Like, I found it to be a little bit disturbing how he handled that climb, because he's raced this race before. He knows that that's going to happen, and it is a legitimate slowdown point. And so what I suggested in that email was, if you're not going to barricade it, because barricading it might take away from the absolute fun and awesomeness of that hill, but maybe after the first lap, when the pros all go through, then you have these large, taped off lines to where spectators need to be guided, and maybe even because in the Tour de France, even on the non-barricaded areas, they have security maybe every 10 or 15, meters or something like that. So maybe that there's a place where you can put some lines and delineation of, hey, we need to give 3 bike widths on the hill when we get traffic for safety. The first lap when it's just a single pace line or age groupers are kind of there. Yeah, maybe you can keep that vibe. But if they are caring about safety based off of how Mr. Laidlow carried himself up that hill, I think that now we have to kind of adapt and be like, yeah, that shouldn't fly. And number one, and number two, we need to talk about this in the race briefing, because never in the race briefing for the professional athletes are they like, hey guys, chill out on Solar Hill the second time around. You're going to encounter traffic. It's just kind of like left up in the air. So I think that they'll probably address that. Felix and his team, there's an issue. They always do step up and do the right thing.
They do. I've known Felix for a long time. I've been to Roth 6 times. And I will give them credit. They sometimes they take things maybe too serious. I don't know if that's, a bad thing, but they do address everything. One of the things that I noticed was it didn't seem like, because you brought up the tour, it didn't seem like there was any sort of lead motorcycle that was in front of Rico and Sam Laidlow going through that section. Did I miss that?
The second lap.
The second lap. Was there a moto that was going through to kind of, because I mean, like, that's one of the things that like the tour does, right? Where like if you've got massive crowds, like there's usually like a bike ahead of them, honking their horn, at least trying to like open that up a little bit.
Yeah, it could have been. I've never been that close to the front of the race to see it at Roth, but maybe there is.
I just don't remember seeing that on the video that was online, where there was like
the referees definitely don't go up there. I can tell you that much. They peel off and they probably go and catch us on the backside of the hill.
Right. Yeah. I'm just curious if that's something that would help fix that, or maybe the motorcycle would be hitting small children instead of athletes.
Well, the main issue on the second lap is
there's
usually like 30 age groupers on that climb that you cannot go around them. You can't. Right. There's no space.
Yeah, and they're like, rightfully so. They're trying to take it all in, right?
They deserve it.
They're doing the, pump the crowd and, high-fiving and yeah.
No, I would hate to see that part of the race change too much, or to be so restricted that it's no longer that level of energy, because to me, there's nothing that comes close to it. There's no pro triathlon event that makes you feel that special. And it's super good.
So that was going to be my next thing. Like, so you've survived Solar Hill, you've survived the bike, you get on the run. I want to talk about the run a little bit, because that's one of the things that like is really unique, where, Roth, you can like, people can hand you nutrition at Roth.
Yeah, you have to.
Like, yeah. Like have to? What do you mean you have to? Like,
well, you don't have to, but if you're a pro athlete,
there's still aid stations.
But if you're a pro athlete and you really rely on your own stuff, you're not going to be able to have a personal needs option as like an Ironman brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So who was giving you nutrition? Did you have somebody?
Yeah. I only ask for one area of nutrition drop, and that's usually around like 22 or 23 kilometers on the run. It's because you can carry enough nutrition running to get through the first bit of the canal, on and off the canal, and then there's a point on the canal where you enter the canal, you go right, and then you come back past that, and then you finally get off the canal and you go back into town. It's like the trifecta.
Yeah, it's this huge population gathering point where there's just like tons of people.
Yeah. And so that's where I normally ask my homestay, or they usually have family or friends come into town just for the race. And there's like this year, this young guy, his name's Till. He was like probably 15 years old, and he gave me my nutrition, and he was so excited. Like, it was nice. So, and you can provide aid to an athlete at the end of every single aid station. It's allowed. So it just depends on when you want to set that up.
So did he give you like a sausage, or like what did he?
No, he just gave me another bears? He gave me another pH 90 and 2 caffeinated gels and some salt tabs. That's just what I was going to use in the back half of the race.
Okay. But there was like no beer or anything like that?
No, nothing fun. Nothing fun.
No, there's the finish line. So you got through, you had your homestay give you nutrition, which I think is awesome. And then you go into town and you go through like, this like what looks like is a European village. But towards the end of the race, it's kind of uphill, isn't it? And
pretty
it's like
nasty,
on
actually.
Cobbles.
Yeah. It's the back like 15K or 17K of the run is like kind of the hardest part of it because it goes uphill, you're on cobbles, and then you have to run downhill on those really destroyed legs. So yeah, it kind of bites you into the back. Okay,
so then you got your stuff from your homestay, and then the last back. But what happened to you this year? Because it's a little different.
Yep, I did not get to the homecoming, the best part of it, the finish line, and the same thing happened, similar to Texas, which was very unfortunate because I thought I was on top of it. I trained with the same type of nutrition, the quantities, but obviously I'm not running, 20 miles off of a 4-hour and some change bike. So it's tough to, theorize versus the reality of how you're going to digest things on the day. And so what really, to not make a lot of, noise about the spilt milk, but I basically hit a massive energy depletion, even though it's like you're taking in tons of carbs, 100 grams of carbs an hour, you're peeing on the bike a little bit, you've got good nutrition and hydration coming in, but your body's just not absorbing it for whatever reason. Maybe the concentration could have been a little bit too high for me on the day, even though it's what I've trained for, but my stomach had some stomach stitches. I was working through that the whole, probably for 20K of the run, and I was taking in energy. I took a gel at 25 kilometers, and then literally at 30 kilometers, I can say this for sure, the lights went out. I was walking in a daze. My hands were completely tingly. My lips were numb. I could have taken a freaking coma type nap right then and there. And so I just stumbled over to this windowsill and just kind of sat and leaned my head against it. And I literally dozed off for a few seconds. And then people were shaking me to wake me up and see if I was okay. And I was just out of it. And then eventually I started shivering profusely because my body temperature dropped quite a bit. I was wet and it was cloudy and windy. And then I sat there, shivered until the ambulance came for about 45 minutes and then got taken to the tent. By that point, my vitals had rebounded quite a bit. My body temperature was still low, but it took me 2 hours to finally be able to stand up and to move under my own power. And honestly, it felt like I ran an ultra marathon. My legs were so empty and depleted. My muscle and liver glycogen must have just been completely gone, even though I'd been taking in tons of calories. So it was very, very interesting.
So was it at that point that you wished you would have grabbed a hot dog or a sausage?
Yeah, I wish I would have had a bunch of chips or something. It's crazy, man. I don't know what really was the exact catalyst. I've got a lot of theories, but we're going to just try to figure it out.
So let's talk about nutrition for a little bit. How many grams of carbs are you actually consuming? Because, this is a perfect example of you're a very seasoned athlete. You train, all the time. You've done this before. And yet you ran into a massive issue when it came to energy. And yet you've got, what was it? 10 men that ran under 240 on the day. And so what do you think you're doing that or what do you think you're not doing that they're doing or whatnot?
Well, one of the stigmas about Roth, and I had a good call with Joe Skipper this morning because he announced his retirement, so we had to talk with him. But we talked a little bit about Roth, and there's a bit of an issue that he believes, and I haven't really ever been there or seen it, but the moto helping of that front group. So typically people will try to kill themselves to get out of that swim first because they know that they're going to get some significant level of moto help. And even at 50 meters, which is where the motos are supposed to legally be ahead of us, the level of crosswinds we had of that day, leading you up a hill, or just as you kind of get speed going downhill, you might creep up into them. And even Patrick Lange in the pre-race meeting was like, hey, put a race ranger on the back of the motos just so we can see for the data to see how close they get, how often. And we got an email later that evening, them saying that they couldn't do it. Race ranger wasn't quite ready for that use of it. But I do think in the future that that's going to be needed because, I heard also through the grapevine that, Sam mentioned that might have been one of his lower power numbers for a long time, which is crazy considering how fast he rode and how hard that front group was moving. So if there was help there, that saves you energy by heaps of energy. So you can run and not dig into those reserves. And, I think that there's a lot to be said about that even in Ironman racing. Like if you get even 10 to 15 watts help from a moto pretty frequently, or you're diving in and out of aid groupers, which is what a lot of athletes will do on that second lap, you get a significant aid of help. And so I wasn't riding that way. I rode under my own power, under my own everything. But it's the same things that I've tested. It's the same things that I felt like I was very confident with. And so, yeah, it really punched me in a way that I did not expect. Not that these guys aren't all practicing and doing everything right either, but like sometimes it was hilarious. Like on the run course, I see the first, second, and third runner and their cyclist. And then I see the fourth cyclist all by himself with nobody running behind it. And then I'm like, where the hell's the athlete? And then like 100 meters down the way, I see Blumenfeld kick open a porta potty, and he's just had to have a moment there. And then he finishes a second. Like sometimes those guys, it just feels like they have a different level of something within them that I just have never really had as an athlete. And it's very it's great to see, but I'm still searching for those moments too.
Have you talked to them about how much nutrition they're consuming?
I've talked and heard, and marketing and everything on the, I see 128 grams.
Well, you got like Cam with the feed athlete that's like, oh, I did 200 grams per hour for the entire bike course. And I'm like,
I don't get how that's possible, because at 100, where I plan to have my whole day, and then I even plan only for 80 grams per hour on the run. I can't do it. I don't know how anybody can. But I mean,
100. If you think 100's really not a lot. I was talking to an athlete about this a couple of weeks ago. If we think about let's just say Cliff, for example, Cliff and Goo, right? Because they're like the OGs of nutrition.
They've been around, man.
So 20 years ago, both of those companies were recommending that we take a gel every 15 minutes during exercise anyways. And back in those days, that's 25 grams of carbohydrates.
Yeah.
So 20 years ago, they were suggesting and telling us to eat 100 carbs an hour. And so, I don't think that 100 grams is a lot.
Well,
but I also don't understand how some of these people are trying to get in 200 grams of carbs.
I think it's the type of fueling. And I think I've been using the Flow Gel for a long time on these long races, and I have been mixing it with plenty of water. I've been trying to measure the viscosity of it to make sure we're not getting too concentrated. But under stress, and after you have been racing for years and years and years, and your body might be quite adapted either from altitude or from whatever, maybe your needs as an athlete change. Maybe I don't need as much. Maybe that high. I mean, some of the better races that I've had, it was weird. I couldn't take anything else because I just didn't feel good. So I just drank Coke the whole marathon, and I podiumed. Sometimes I don't think that you have to stick with the marketing facade of everyone needs to be on 150 grams an hour or whatever. It's a type of fuel on the race day that is going to work best for you. And sometimes it's more fructose. Some people are more maltodextrin. It just depends on the person. And I think that's the next phase of this whole thing is probably, or these companies figuring out which type of person responds to the best ratio of fueling.
Yeah. And I don't want to get too sidetracked on it and whatnot, but I was just curious if you've talked to your fellow pro athletes that are, just they're just out there crushing it, and they get online and they're obviously sponsored by, nutrition companies. And so they may say one thing, and then behind closed doors, they may be like, yeah, I do 160 grams, or no, I do 140, or, Magnus is like, I do 180. You're just like, I could see him doing that. He's 6'5".
6'4". Yeah, he's tall, man. Like, and I think that's probably the main issue is like the type of athlete who is pushing that. Like, I'm only 5'8", 150 something pounds on race day. Like, that might be too much for my body to handle. And I think that's really where I might need to take a little bit different approach.
You also have a lot more muscle than traditional athletes do.
Yeah. And no matter what I do, that just sticks around. I swear to God, I don't hit a lot of back and bis and chest and tries.
Yeah. So next year, you going back?
Yeah, next year I will go back. Also because like Amy, my wife, she wants to finally come out to this race. And so it would be a shame for her to not to be able to experience it. And, I'm probably in my last few years of professional racing. So I got to go back, and a 4-time, why not? What else am I going to do with my life?
So that leads us into our next conversation that we want to talk a little bit about is RTS, right? Like, how do you manage all of these things? So let's talk about RTS first. Sure. And what it is and what you're trying to accomplish there. Is it a brand? Is it a business? Like, what exactly is the Real Triathlon Squad?
It is whatever you need it to be. It's here for you, and whatever you want out of it. I think I started kind of putting things together because I've always been really adept, through my Air Force days at kind of like logistically seeing a lot of things that we can make better, more efficient, less waste, more support. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall with financial levels of inadequacy within our sport, where I would see a lot of people taking the lion's share of the available funding, but they're one person and have one community. And I was like, well, hey, if we bridge a lot of pro athletes, a lot of age groupers, a lot of elite amateurs, and give everybody a little bit more of a voice, make everybody feel better about what we're doing, and create a lot more like of a network and a community, then I feel like we could just float the boats a bit higher. Because if I can, selfishly, if I can take somebody's $60,000 contract and be like, okay, well, yeah, I get that they have a bunch of podiums and, they might have like 60,000 followers, but what if I collectively have over 1 million followers, and I can guarantee you 15 to 20 podiums? And by the way, not only just that, but social media, marketing, more brand awareness. We'll do webinars, we'll do educational pieces. We'll take care of our community in your name. And I just felt like that was going to help support triathlon as a whole and give people who might, it's a solo sport that we all do together. And I kind of like have leaned into that pretty heavily, because this sport sucks if it's only you out there all the time training, and it's people get burned out. Like, that was one of Colin Chartier's major things, was like, I had to sacrifice my entire well-being. And I didn't believe anything. So I just started dope. I'm like, well, that's not the way to do it, Colin.
And now he's like a big community builder, apparently.
Now he's doing breath work, man.
That's right.
So yeah, RTS is what I wanted to try to bring that I didn't think the USATs and the general communities were doing enough of as one. I was kind of tired of, the teams coming in hot and cold, or sponsors coming in, cutting contracts after 1 year. I'd see Specialized cut their entire roster after 3 or 4 years. I just wanted to provide more security for pro athletes who wanted to make a career out of this. And if I can net zero some of their costs so they can just focus on making money as an athlete, then I feel like that's a win for me.
So how's it going?
It's been crazy because I'm an ideas guy. I'm a startup guy. I like to, hey, well, let's do this too. Or, well, what about this? And, I sometimes get a little bit too messy with, ideas and creating. And that's where like now we've got 4 types of teams within RTS. We've got the coaching company with 5 coaches, and we've got the podcast and the video podcast. And, now we've got a nonprofit we're working on starting right now. So I think for me, I've done all the work to get everything started. And now I'm trying to focus on providing a lot more quality work towards the people who have been with us the longest. I want to take better care of the people who are already here before I start expanding more.
Yeah. So, okay. So you started in 2020?
Yeah. Right around the pandemic.
Okay. And so briefly, really quick, what has worked the best and what has been something that you thought was going to work really well, but didn't?
Yeah. What has worked the best is being able to pay a decent salary to some of our better pro triathletes who actually believe in our brand, and they build it just as much as I do now. Like, I can't do everything, so a lot of people are. So I think putting talented, charismatic athletes in the right positions through podiums and through their outreach, they've been great to represent our brand, and they've validated everything that I've kind of put forward. So I didn't do all the work. They have put their name on the line to support what I've been building. And without that, I wouldn't be here in this regard. What hasn't been as successful is trying to create a lot of really fun programs and meetups and stuff that I think athletes want. And then like 10 people show up. It's like you want to provide education and outreach, and people say they want it, but then given the opportunity to show up, now they're too busy or it's not the right timing. So I think that's been the biggest struggle is I want to provide more, but people are fickle. And that's just, unfortunately the way it is.
Yeah. So tell us about the nonprofit. What are you starting a nonprofit? Or are you working with a nonprofit?
Yeah, I kind of pursued a few different ways to do it. And just so happened, there's an athlete that I coach locally in St. George who's a plastic surgeon. And he was wanting to kind of get involved and offset some of his student loans as well by running a nonprofit, because that's pretty common, believe it or not, is people to donate to nonprofits and be part of it to kind of help offset some of the debt they've created through student loans, which is no big deal for me. So we have to create a board.
Wait, hold on, time out. How does that work?
I don't know. It just
do they if they donate to the nonprofit, then
it kind of takes some of the sharpness off of their whatever.
So they potentially get credit from.
Yeah, I think it's like a tax incentive.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
Just like it is for most wealthy people. That's why they do philanthropy, because they got to give it to somebody, and they don't want it to be the government. They'd rather give it to people who they can support, and then use it for leverage at some point.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Yeah.
So, anyways, I started kicking around that idea when I broke my hip, and I had massive outreach and care from people who I never would have expected to show up for me. And I was thinking, well, I've always wanted to help. Are you talking about
the time that you crashed and then you got your phone out and you like filmed everything? Yep. Is that okay? All right.
I film everything already. Why wouldn't I film that? Like, hey guys, just checking in. I just crashed. Yeah. It wouldn't have been anything else but my character to have that happen.
This is so good. How many views did you get on that, by the way?
I don't even know. Probably not a lot. Not as much as I would hoped. I think more than anything because I was like, I think I'm all right. It might just be dislocated. And then like 30 minutes later, I was bawling because it hurt so bad. It was effing broke for sure.
I just dislocated my hip. It's okay.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I think I can put a little. Nope, no weight on it.
Okay. We're okay. So you're down and out. You're thinking about where all of your tax dollars are and your student loans, and let's
not
start.
Not mine. Okay. But the bottom line is I wanted to find ways to help athletes who have lost a lot through a crash like I experienced. And people will lose a lot more than I did. I didn't lose a bike. I've been very fortunate to have all kinds of great hand-ups. And also I wanted to help youth development within our sport, because that's the biggest barrier to entry for a lot of the college kids I coach is they can't afford a nice bike. They can't afford to travel. They can't afford to do anything. And I want to be able to, if you have a willing and able body and mind, I want to help you even if it's a small weight, a race entry or something, a couple grand towards a bike, I want to be able to help people do something, pursue their dreams. So that's why the nonprofit's there, to either help you get back up on your feet after you've lost a whole lot due to injury, or if you need a hand up because you live in a tough area and you didn't have any upbringing that supports all that stuff. I think that's needed.
Sure. Yeah. So how far away are you from launching it? And is there any news coming for it? And if so, like, how can people that are listening to this maybe get involved?
Yeah, well, it's a slow burn for anybody who's what it's up for a nonprofit. We've got a team who is working on our behalf. We're going to do, it's called a fiscal sponsorship, is to where I don't actually have to go and start a whole 503c on my own. I'm going to be partnering within another 503c who will be the focal point of the donation, and then they will disperse that donation to us through their, already established 501c. And it's very, it's an easy way to kind of get the ball rolling and to start the momentum. So we'll get I won't say too much about it because I want it to be a bigger launch when we get there, but it'll be later this year. We'll have a website, places you can donate. It'll have a really good mission statement, and we'll probably put some little 5Ks on and do some kids stuff and try to get them out there swimming and take good care of people.
Out of all the things that you do, what takes the most time, and how do you balance your
my personal
life with
my own training? Takes the most time. Like, that's the hardest part. Like, during most of my warm-ups on the bike rides, I'm still checking emails or I'm answering text messages, and then I'll get the majority of my training done, come home, refuel, get back on the computer. So my 20 plus hour training week is the majority of my time. And that will open up eventually, I'm sure, when I stop taking it so serious.
Do you feel like all of these things, like, does your training suffer compared to, these guys that are running sub 240s at Roth?
I don't want to admit it.
And how do you handle that?
Yeah, I don't want to admit that it probably does, because I'd like to think that I can do anything and show up just as strong. But there's probably a toll. And I tried at the early stages of my career, coming out of the Air Force, to only do sport and to see if I could have fun with that. And I kind of found it to be not as fulfilling, like racing only for myself, only for the glory. Like, I just said, I've always wanted to teach and to guide and to bring and to grow. And if I'm just an athlete, then I get a little bit bored, and I wanted to do more for our sport than just be focused on me. And so that's probably why I sacrificed some of that racing prowess, so I can just be pretty good, sometimes better, and then sometimes have pretty shitty days like I did just recently. But I still get a couple good races out of myself, and I still want to lead the way for busy adults who have a lot more obligations than I do, to show them that, you can still do a lot with very little.
Yeah. Any advice for the age grouper that has everything going on, right? Like the mom or the dad with the kids and the career, and they're trying to do a 70.3 or an Ironman. Like, what advice do you have for them?
Just really be patient and flexible. That's the hardest thing to do as an athlete like us, because we're very A-type and we want to be in control. And when we get slapped in the face because of a work call, or a kid gets sick, or you can't do the training you wanted to do, we get very down in the dumps pretty quick, because, I've built all this and now I'm losing it. And the reality is you haven't. And I've seen people do amazing things off very little training just because of willpower and belief. And I think that you have to have a short-term memory. You can't live and die by every training session, and you just have to focus on showing up with the best able body in mind for the day. And if it's a little bit subpar, you still showed up, and that's all that matters.
It's good advice. Yeah. Do you also have to have a long-term memory of, I've done this before, I can do it again?
I think that the long-term memory is good if you want to focus on something positive, not for something bad.
So a positive long-term memory, a negative short-term memory.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. You can make a shirt out of that.
We should at Kona. I'm here for the positive long-term memory and the short-term misery, or whatever it was. All right. So next I want to talk about, because you and I just met up in
Park City.
Well, I was, Park City. And then we went to Camas to do some filming for one of your sponsors and one of our partners, ENVE, and the release of their official release of their the wheel that everyone's been riding for a year. The 100 SES front and the SES Pro disc.
Yep.
Talk to us about your relationship with ENVE, because you've been sponsored by ENVE for a long time.
Yeah, I think it's been 3 years now for sure, which seems like forever when it comes to holding a sponsor. And that's been my goal with this team, is to not just be flash in the pan when it comes to support and with these brands. Like, it doesn't do anybody any good to sink money and time into us if we're going to be gone in a year. So I'm really fortunate that they believe in us. And at the time, like, ENVE didn't even really have much going on in triathlon. Like, the first set of wheels we got had black logos. I'm like, nobody can tell that these are even ENVE wheels. Give me some white logos. And so that happened, and they've got the SES 6.7. That was kind of their most versatile, pretty aero, but pretty good for all conditions and climbing. And we really love that wheel set. And then when we finally were able to have like a more triathlon focused product, the SES 100 and or Pro 100 and the Pro disc, like, that was so good to have. And what a great place to like be part of triathlon with ENVE.
Talk to us a little bit about your understanding, your relationship with hookless, and the controversy that hookless has been in a lot of media and with some writers and things like that, because you've been on hookless wheels for now 3 years, and you're being introduced to two sets of wheels now that technically are hooked at ENVE. Because of some design decisions. But what is your opinion on hookless and whatnot?
Well, I've taken hookless, 60 miles an hour. I've cornered down switchbacks in Europe. I've put them through the rigor to feel like I know what I'm doing. But I am also a cyclist who takes care of their tires and their wheels and their sealant, and I understood the pressures. We did have some athletes blow up their wheels or delaminate them because they would overpressurize. They were just taking them to like 80 PSI, and tires and hookless wheels aren't designed necessarily to just sit around at that PSI. So there was some learning curve for some athletes, and some athletes didn't love it right away. And I think the safety stuff was probably the number one concern that I think ENVE probably had to hear from. And of course, they're like, well, do you think Tadej Pogacar is going to not ride these if they're safe, or not ride them if they're not safe? And, that's a pretty good foot and mouth statement for anybody who challenges it. But I think overall, like,
he also has professional mechanics.
Yeah. It handled a little bit differently at first on cornering. You'd have to kind of wait for that roll to catch, and then you could lean into it heavily. And so I noticed that some of the tire shape was a little bit different on the hard corners. But after I got used to that, I never felt like I was unsafe or any tire. Even I would run ENVE tires on it. And I really liked them, even though some people didn't. So I think hookless for me has always been something I wasn't concerned about, because I had tested it enough and proven that they're safe.
What wheel did you come from before? What wheels were you
on?
We
were with Rolf Prima for I think 2 years before.
Were you running different tires, different tire sizes?
Yeah, usually 20.
Were you doing tubeless? Were you doing tubes?
Yeah, I've been tubeless probably for like 6 years. I've been tubeless for a long time. And I think like that, as much as people didn't like it, like the setup of tubeless is tough. But once you get them set up and you understand how it works, like even now, there's no drama, but there's just a big learning curve for people to kind of get over with. But I think tubeless is great.
There is a big learning curve. We've talked a lot about it on the site, and it can be pretty frustrating as you're learning how to do it.
Like,
yeah.
You'll get carpal tunnel, you'll blow up some wheels, you need to buy an air compressor. Like, it's a lot of shit.
Yeah. I mean, if you're like a traditional dude, like you should be wanting to do like tubeless, because you do get to go buy an air compressor and like you get to buy like tools that like, you can like use for other things.
You can make noise.
Yeah, exactly. And then, okay, so you've learned all of these things during this process of going to a hookless wheel. Now you're on wheels that have hooks within the ENVE ecosystem. You talked earlier about, leaning into a corner and it feels a little different at first. Does it feel different when you're on a quote unquote hooked 100 and a quote unquote, hooked 3.4 Pro?
I think that it does feel a little bit more, it feels like the ride height is just a little bit more on like, I don't know, when you're banking the corner, it just feels like you have a little bit more rubber on the road because there's some switchbacks at Roth, and I had the 100 mil front and the SES Pro disc. Like, it felt like it was a little bit smoother through some of the tighter corners. Like, I think I liked it. It's not that I liked it more, but I still felt like it was really good. Like, I can't say that it was a performance enhance or took anything away. I just have always been aggressive and comfortable on cornering. So for me, it's always been good.
What was that wheel like? Because 100 millimeters is deep. Like, it
was windy, front. Man. Like, yeah. I was having to get my ass battered left and right. But I mean, there's a video I did a long time ago on Cascade Springs, in Midway, just on descending and how to descend well. And I always tell everybody, even my coached athletes, I'm like, what happens to a palm tree during a hurricane? Or a hurricane. Sorry, I say that like I'm from Utah. During a hurricane.
Root. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it flexes and it bends, and then it slowly and gradually comes back. It rides those different variations of wind. And that's kind of how I ride. If I have a wind gust, I'll just kind of let it blow me and then come back. And I think that's what I had to do at Roth, because it was freaking windy. And sometimes I would have to have one aero bar and one on the hood just to make sure I was not getting a little bit blown over.
It was that bad.
It was that bad sometimes. And that's why I think age groupers were really struggling. And it was probably not the year to bring that wheel, but I was like, I'm bringing it because it's fast and it sounds like a train. It sounds so fast. It's good.
So, okay. So you're back in Park City. Before you go over to Germany, do you take a 6.7 versus the 100?
I think I probably would have taken the 6.7 for sure. Had I known the wind was going to be that bad, it would have saved me a lot of grief. And I didn't come out of aero much, but I still had to be pretty cognizant.
Yeah. But how nice it is that you have the options now.
Yeah, it is nice. I really appreciate that ENVE threw some pretty deep stuff. And I'm sure it was because Tadej Pogačar wanted it, not because of anything else. He wanted probably a deeper wheel for time trialing.
Well, he needed it. I mean, the tour, I mean, the UCI rules obviously have, banned a lot of like deep wheels just within like the regular non-TT, stages.
Yeah.
But the 100 is like the max now when it comes to the TT. And I mean, those guys are literally dealing with seconds of riding for an hour at full board. So any sort of advantage that they can get, they're gonna take.
Well, that wheel set to combined, like we had a tailwind section on that bike course, which was probably like 35 to 40 minutes straight of good tailwind through towns and beautiful roads. Like I was seeing 28 miles an hour, 33, 36 miles an hour, and it just felt so smooth, man. Those wheels were great. And that's that's what tour riders time trial at. So
yeah. What traditional, like when you're out just training, what set of wheels are you actually putting on your bike?
I'll either run the SES 6.7 Pros, or not 6.7 Pros, but the 6.7s for my time trial bike usually, or the new, is it the 3.5?
Yeah.
3.5 Pros, I have those, and those have been awesome, super versatile.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're on your TT bike, you're using a set of 6.7s.
Yeah, primarily I'd say 70% of the time. And if it's like a lot of climbing or a hilly day, I'll put the 3.5s.
You know, Jordan Rapp used to do that. There used to be this weird thing where it was like if you're training, you put like training wheels on. And now I feel like that's switched a little bit, where you wanna train on the wheels that you're gonna race on, so that you can get used to being the palm tree when you need to be the palm tree.
Oh,
do you feel like that's changed a lot in the last year or so?
It's been the 4.5. I don't want to be
4.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to get killed on that one.
Well, so there's the 3.4, and then there's the 4.5.
So I'll do the 4.5.
Okay, and then there's the 6.7, and now there's the 100.
Perfect. Now we're square. I won't get crucified.
2.3, 3.4, 4.5, 6.7. Yep. Okay. So back to my question before I was interrupted for you not knowing your wheel brands.
Sorry.
Do you feel like you guys are a little bit more squirrely riding TT bikes now because everybody is so up and forward on their bikes?
And I also have that mono cockpit with like,
you do. It's
the grips are on top of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there was
Star Wars.
Yeah. There was like a joystick, you know, it was a bit of a learning curve for probably the first, 2 to 3 weeks, but I don't think I'm squirrely in that thing at all. Cause I think it's not just how you put weight on the bars, it's how you put weight on the whole bike frame and how you can kind of adjust your knee or flare a knee or kind of stabilize yourself in different ways. So I don't feel anything but so stable now these days, especially with how wide the front forks are and the chain stays. Like I think the bikes have gotten wider.
Okay. What else, Nick? What else do people need to know about you and what you're trying to achieve in our sport of triathlon?
I feel like I'm lucky that anyone gives a shit at all about what I'm doing. Because even it just kind of makes my day sometimes when somebody will say, "Hey, listen to the podcast," or "I can't believe people actually pay attention to any of this shit," or they love the way our race kit goes on, or we just have people sign up for RTS racing. I'm just trying to find ways to take care of this community, and honestly, the community keeps taking care of me, and I feel very thankful that I'm not a podium contender at every race. Years ago I was a bigger name. Now I'm just racing because I'm passionate and I really want to get the best out of myself. And sometimes I can squeak in a top 10 and still be pretty competitive against 20 and 30-year-olds. But I think for me, I'm just so thankful that I still get to do this and live this lifestyle and not have a 9-to-5 and a boss and commute to work. I get to be very much in control of everything that I've created, which is good and bad because sometimes it's tough and you make mistakes. So I've not made that many mistakes and people still seem to be showing up for me, and I'm super grateful. And again, like I'm on your show, which means a lot to me.
Where should people go to find you?
You can go to realtriathlonsquad.com if you want to know more about our ecosystem and what we do as a team and meet all the other athletes from RTS Pro team. We have 27 pro athletes. We have about 9 RTS X, which is our expansion team of elite amateurs who are hoping to go pro. I want to give them a leg up. And then we have RTS Racing, which is anybody can join. We raffle off huge prizes every quarter, like we did. We're going to do a bike frame this month, for this last quarter. I think it's like over $4,000 to $8,000 of giveaway products.
Is it the new Canyon, or is it?
It's not the new Canyon. I don't know Canyon, but it'll be a Ventum frame for sure. And you can also go to endureallcoaching.com for any camps if you want to sign up for camps. So like we'll do a swim camp in September. We've got a camp in Tucson led by Annie Fuller. In October, we've got a Cozumel camp that everyone loves, and we sell that out every year in January. Go to Cozumel.
I need to grab my wife and go to the Cozumel camp.
Man,
not that she wants to hang out with a bunch of triathletes, but she wants to hang out by the beach while we do dumb things. Yes,
it is really a good time. The people who come out to that camp, we have lifelong friends because of the stuff we go through out there. I mean, you're in Mexico, you get rained on, you get all kinds of mechanical issues on the bikes, but we do like an evening discussion every night, and we all tell war stories, and we just live the life, and it's such a good time. And you eat the best food, and we have some drinks. It's free.
There you go. Yeah, it's all inclusive.
It's all inclusive, man.
Nick, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, thanks for digging in.
We definitely dug. So